in Ukraine rages on. Both sides are looking at possible spring offensives. Experts say it could also change the course of the war. After the latest announcement of Western heavy weaponry for Ukraine, Russian forces escalated air attacks on the country. On Thursday, Russia launched various air attacks across Ukraine. At least 11 people are being reported killed by the Ukrainian officials. And according to the Ukrainian military, the danger of Russian air attacks still remains high. Russian forces attacked more than 60 towns and villages as it tries to advance in the Donetsk region in the east. The Ukrainian army says it repelled Russian attacks in various places. Meanwhile, the UN nuclear watchdog reports powerful explosions near Ukraine's Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station, as the IAEA re-echoes the call for a security zone around the plant. Japan also tightened sanctions against Russia in response to its latest wave of missile attacks in Ukraine. Japan has prohibited exports of radioactive materials, vaccines, medical goods and robots to Russia. And as the conflict in Europe rages on, the tensions between Japan and North Korea, who's an ally of Russia, also increases. In the latest, Japanese policymakers are considering providing government aid for building bomb shelters. This is amidst the recent ICBM test by North Korea and an effort by the Japanese government to protect the population against potential missile attacks. Meanwhile, the diplomacy around the war in Ukraine could also witness a change, as experts predict the new tanks for the country can send a different message to Russia. Some 80 Western tanks will reach Ukraine, possibly by the end of March. The Ukrainian president termed the move a big step in the path of victory, even as Russia called it a blatant provocation. But a closer look at the agreement to send the tanks to Ukraine does raise questions on the sudden turnaround. The US had long maintained that the heavy M1 Abrams tanks would be difficult to deliver, expensive to maintain and challenging for Ukrainian troops to operate. Germany too had earlier held back on agreeing to send in its Leopard 2 tanks. On the 20th of January at Ramstein, Germany, defence ministers of the NATO countries had stayed non-committal on sending tanks into Ukraine. But only 5 days later, Germany put out its green flag, followed by Biden agreeing to send his tanks. Earlier reports suggested that Germany was trying to duck another World War III situation, as it again does not want to be the reason behind a world war. According to a poll, 63% of German voters oppose the supply of fighter jets to Ukraine, although the majority of voters support sending Leopard 2 tanks. There's been much speculation on talks and equations between the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and the US President Joe Biden on the matter. What led to the final yes from both countries that had ruled out the move earlier? Did Scholz tie his decision to Biden giving the nod first? Well, let's discuss that in more detail. So for more on that, we're joined by Scott Lucas, political analyst and professor of international politics at University College Dublin, joining us live from London. Scott, I'll ask you that question. What do you think was the decisive reason for this change in heart from both the Americans and the Germans?
Because this was part of a coordinated campaign, which was developed for weeks and then culminated in those decisions on Wednesday, where you've got two different types of decision. On the military side, the significant decision is not only that Germany is going to provide its own advanced Leopard 2 battle tanks, but it will allow others to re-export their German-made Leopards to Ukraine. That includes Poland, for example. It includes Finland. Spain, Portugal have announced they're going to make commitments, even Norway. Added to already the UK commitment, which was made last week, of Challenger tanks, and Canada has joined the coalition now and will send Leopard 2s, you are looking at a significant game-changing moment where you start with 80 tanks in Ukraine by the spring and probably hundreds by the summer and autumn. The American side of this was not a military decision. It will take many months to get the Abrams tanks, 31 of which Biden said he would send, take many months to get them to Europe and to provide training for them. But it was a political decision that was needed. What the Germans said is, for us to provide the Leopard 2s, you, the United States, also have to show a commitment to send the Abrams, even if we know that they're not going to be on the front lines for some time. So the UK started this process. Germany and the US discussed it in detail with other countries providing input, such as Poland, and then it all came together on Wednesday.
Scott Lucas, political analyst and professor of international politics at the Clinton Institute in the University of College Dublin. Many thank yous.